let's talk a little bit about deals that are doing very poorly. So, fortunately, we haven't had any issues with this yet, and hopefully ever. But we have heard of colleagues that are losing properties. So talk to me a little bit about basis, like what does this mean? What are the tax ramifications? I know we talked about it a little bit, but I'm talking about a complete loss of capital or a near wipeout of capital. What are the ramifications of that?
Yeah. Um, so in general, what's good for life is bad for taxes, and what's bad for life is good for taxes. So in the event that you have a loss, so significant that you're also losing, you're losing capital, you do have any passive losses, those will get freed up, and then any loss of capital that you have that extends beyond your passive loss carry forwards, or your losses throughout the life of the investment, will get freed up as long-term capital losses. Um, so those can offset, again, 100% of any other gains that you have. Or if you don't have any other gains to use those losses against, then you can take them $3,000 a year against your ordinary income indefinitely.
Okay, so let's use some numbers to make this more realistic. So say I made $100,000 investment. In the first year, I got 50,000 in losses. So my basis is 50,000. And then in let's say no further depreciation. Let's just say it ends at 50. And then year five, and say I didn't get a single distribution. Year five, I lose 100% of capital. Now tell me what is going to happen.
Okay. So year five, you're gonna have, actually, maybe let's make it not 50.
Okay.
Um, so let's say you have 40,000 in
hmm
losses over the
hmm
life of the investment.
hmm
In year five, the $40,000 of losses that you haven't taken yet,
hmm
those passive losses will get freed as ordinary losses.
hmm
And now your basis is going to be 60,000. So your $100,000 investment minus the $40,000 in losses that we've now recognized, and that 60,000 will be a capital loss. So you'll have a $40,000 ordinary loss and $60,000 capital loss. Um, at the end of the day,
hmm
you invested 100,000, you have $100,000 loss, and that ordinary loss is going to be more advantageous to you, most likely.
Okay, so repeat that for me.
Okay.
The 40,000 is what, and the 60,000 is what?
So the 40,000 is
hmm
my passive losses, throughout
Depreciation,
the
yeah.
life of the investment
hmm
that were released as
hmm
ordinary losses, and then the
hmm
60,000 is the basis that I couldn't recover, and
hmm
that's going to be a long-term capital loss.
Long-term capital loss. Okay, so then the 60,000 will offset potential long-term capital gains in the
Hmm.
future. It carries over indefinitely. Now the 40,000, as you mentioned, is more advantageous, despite losing money. And Actually, I had another scenario I'll tell you in a second. But so that 40,000 in ordinary losses. Now, can I use that in the first year to offset my ordinary income gains? Or you were mentioning something about $3,000 a year.
Yeah, so for the ordinary
hmm
losses, you must use all of it in the year that that you lose the investment, and it will offset your ordinary income, so your W-2 income, any other
hmm
business income that you have.
hmm
So that the benefit of that loss is going to be, at whatever your tax rate is. So
Yeah.
that could be up to 37%.
Um,
Yeah.
I want actually to maybe explain about, I know it's very confusing, like to follow the capital gains, capital losses, ordinary income, ordinary loss. a small framework that might help people like think about it.
Mhm.
You have two categories of when you think about how to offset income and losses. You have two categories that you want to keep in mind. Category number one is the source of income. Category number two is the activity of the income. With the sources of income, you have rental income, you have capital gains, you have ordinary income. All of those are sources of income. In the activity, you have only two types of activity, passive and active. In order to offset one from the other, both categories needs to match. So
Mhm.
all the active ordinary income, active ordinary losses, capital gains, capital losses. But if you have, for example, rental income that and capital gains, they don't match by the category. So like that's generally it's not true for everything, but that's a general framework that you want to think about when you think what can I offset by what. That's something that can help you guys like maybe when you think about your own situation to map it by that the what's the source and what's the activity and then try to match it.
Yeah, unfortunately, ordinary losses usually require actual losses. So there's not a way
Yes,
to there's
yes,
not a way to get a bunch of those without actually losing money, which kind of sucks.
True.
right. And what sometimes tax strategy and planning is all about is how can you recategorize the type of source? How can you change something from one activity to the other in order to benefit you in the bigger picture? That's sometimes like that what you're trying to create. You're trying to play that game and match those in a proper way to minimize your liability.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.